Okay, what I'm going to talk about is plough planes and moulding planes. And I'll just touch on, before these were invented, everything was done with wooden plough planes. And everyone had a different profile. So if any of you have got one of these in your workshop or you have one lying around, try it. It works very, very well. But to use it, it's got a little fence. You can see a fence over here. That goes against your job. And then if you look very carefully, there's a line there which you've got to hold perpendicular. And that gives you the angle of the moulding. Very simple. They work beautifully. They really do work nicely. But I'll just touch on that before we go into the planes I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the record 050. I think Stanley called it a 50. I'm not sure. It's got limitations because it can only cut beads, tongue and groove, and rebates. The 45, again, can do all of those things plus a few more. The 55 can do everything those do plus more as well. And a lot of the cutters between the 55 and the 45 are interchangeable. But the moulding ones, you can't put on a 45, you can only use it on a 55. So I'll talk about this one. It's got a fence, which you can adjust backwards and forwards. I've set this because I want to show you how it works. It's got a screw adjustment for the blade. Morning. And it has a depth stop. So you can determine the depth of the rebate or groove you want to cut. Go through.
No, sorry.
It's okay. So I use this, I do quite a lot of picture frames, so I use this to cut the rebate at the back with the glass. And then I put a little bead on, or usually a bead. There's a piece here of a frame I made. And so that's basically what I use it for. It can also, that's all it can do, and it can do tongue and groove, which I don't use. But it works very effectively. So I'll show you just quickly how it works. You set it up with a very fine cut, and then you play. It works quite simply. So I'll show you what I do. I've got my auxiliary bench. I do most of my work on this. And when I've damaged it beyond repair, I go to the kitchen cupboard manufacturer and I buy a piece that I use tip.
Hello, Bobby. You cooking what's going?
Sorry. I will do a rebate on this piece of wood. Quick and easy, it's just like using any other hand plane. And then you can use the fence, move it in a bit, and cut and groove if you need a groove further in. same with it if I want to cut a bead. Exactly the same procedure.
So you just screw down the wood down.
Yeah, because I'm usually working with picture frame moldings
So
with
you cut it off.
this wood, and then if it's a small piece, I just panel pin it on. But I also make, if I'm doing a long piece, just make sure that you've got support at the back, because otherwise it moves in the middle. But I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes by screwing. So what I've got here are profiles or things I've cut with the 50, with that plan. I've got a tongue and groove. You can come and have a look at. A picture frame moulding, rebate for the glass, and a little bead just to give a decoration. You can also use these planes across the grain. They all have a little splitter which you turn down over there and over there, and that cuts the grain.
Just scores it so that when the plane runs.
So when you run, you're not tearing out the grain.
Okay.
I find I don't use it very often, and I find they've got to be very short. So what I do is I just pull the plane across, make a mark so that I can see where that line is, and then cut it with a knife. And I always see if I'm going to plane the back of whatever I'm doing is where I'm playing to, so that if there's breakout, it breaks out at the back. But it works well. There's a rebate and a die-down I've done with that little plane. So you can see mark them. So you can do it across grain very successfully, actually. But it works well, so that's a good one. So, very simple plane, very simple, and it's just got a limited number of cutters. It's got the straight cutters and the beading cutters.
Just hold it still for a while.
And
It doesn't look too limited to me.
and the tongue and groove.
Okay.
How do you sharpen those?
I
What's
use
the difficulty?
I use a slipstone. I've got a little miniature diamond file. The flat ones are not just normal. But the beading ones, I just use a file and a slipstone. And of course keep the back flat.
Wat is dan hierdie kant? Ewentueel.
Are there anyone got any?
Why don't you pass that, are you going to reuse that piece of wood?
No.
Why don't you just pass that around and we can just have a look at it?
Okay.
The difficulties I find is you need to have straight, quite straight wood,
Yes, yes.
otherwise tear out. So.
Yes, you've got it. If you're going to do, I mean, for this is fine, but if you're going to make something, I'll show you a clock I made just now. Select your wood very carefully. You don't want knots, you don't want wild grain. You look for clean wood.
So poplar is out.
Yeah. And another one that's very difficult I've found is mahogany, because it's got so much wild grain.
Grain goes.
Yeah. And the grain tends to lift on mahogany
Yes,
as
yes.
well.
And so I find mahogany, the nicest one I've ever used is Burmese teak. I mean, it's just a pleasure to make moldings with. And very clean in boya. I've done quite a bit with in boya.
Jacaranda, I suppose, is also not a wood you would use because it tends to split over time.
Well,
too,
no, if I was doing anything with all that work, I would be using in boya.
high quality wood.
Or quality wood, yeah, for sure. And you obviously, before you play, you make sure that you're using your grain in the right directions as you would with a normal hand plane. Your grain must be going from long to short, those sort of things.
And that everything is square.
Yes, yes, that goes with that. Sorry, Roger.
So can you mount those left and right handed? I don't know how you can choose which way your grain goes, if you can't do it left or right handed.
I suppose you could, but I've never done that. I've always selected my wood so carefully. And the thing is, if for instance you're making a molding on this, I've got a lot of photographs and certificates and that which are over 100 years old. So I made these frames which are age appropriate. That's the kind of frame they made in those days. And when I'm playing the beat, because it's going to be at the front, I chose the correct way of the grain. But when you come to do the back, you can get a bit of tear up. But that's at the back, so nobody really notices. And if you're going to mitre, you can't plane across the grain with these fancy beading tools. So you've got to make a long one and mitre it. And except for picture frame, if I'm making, like for my clock, it's 3 pieces. Don't make 3 pieces, plain one long one, because when you mitre your levels all the same.
Yes.
That can be a problem.
Also, your grain hopefully do with continuous stretch as well if you use one on.
That's right. Yeah. So these wooden ones and these sort of mouldings were never done across grain because that's quite hard to do on straight grain, let alone cross grain.
Now, Winston, are all these planes freely available or no?
No.
Alistair would know better than me, but I don't think they're even made anymore.
They're not even made anymore. That's the tragedy of it.
Clifton make one.
Oh yeah. Look, you may be able to that Canadian company.
No, it's pretty English, Clifton is English.
Okay.
Veritas also make
Veritas,
But he was decided on about
but certainly record and standing not available.
This is a whole series of, I say a whole series of it. That's the Stanley 55 and you get the Stanley 45. The difference essentially is that it's the Stanley 55, the name derives from the 55 cutters that it's and then this is a sort of a smaller one of that there. That's why it's got this. But the record has got planes similar to that as 405. And there's quite a few models. If I say models, a few tools that are sort of multi-cutters, multi-planes. And I incidentally brought 2 of mine with the Stanley 55, and I think the Stanley 50. I've got it. Brought it with.
Now these, as far as I know, are still made on.
No.
Not other.
That's record only are now making the 04 and the 05, and that's it.
And Stanley?
Maybe a little bit, but they'll do a 3.
I think you can still get that style of planes.
It's a very sort of.
But it's very basic.
Basic thing.
Yeah.
You can get. I have seen them.
But not record or Stanley.
No, I really don't know.
The Veritas make a modern simple.
I've never ever seen one of those.
One of these?
New. Talk about new.
Well, it's never been listed by record when I worked for them.
But this is standard. These are standard.
But record was used to make them.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
They just had the extra O or the lesser O. They just.
That's right. They put the O before the SIF and then they go with the SIF.
What I would like to know is, I'm always fascinated, if a person looks at this old furniture, and I hear what you're saying, and it's quite correctly, going cross grain is a torture. But what's more intriguing is, you have these buffets with the gables and the curved molding. How did they do that?
I think they did them with scratch stocks.
So they're all scratched.
I think so.
It must be painstaking. Even with a modern router where you have a multi layer of molds.
Yes.
To even with the router, it's a challenge.
It's easy if you've got enough apprentices.
Yeah. I made a clock with an arched top.
Well, me too.
And I just put a cove in that. And I did that with I set up a special jig with a long arm and one of these cutters, these cove cutters, like a scratch stock.
Yeah.
But you can only go halfway, and then
because if you're doing a semicircle, somewhere along the line you're coming out at a cross grain.
So you start in the middle and you do it that way, and you start and you do it that way. And it's very painstaking and laborious, and you wonder why you do it. But
I always admire when I look at some of these old things and I think, how did they do that?
I can't say definitively they never did cross grain with these fancy planes, because you see a lot of furniture of the old days that had these mouldings, but how they did it, I really
they might have been carved. They were actually hand carved, and then finished off with the scratch.
Because all the research I've ever done, I've never seen anyone suggest using one of those.
There is a special tool, I think Stanley 65. It's got a little, it's just a handle with a blade, not one of those blades, but it's a blade that's in there. Like you say, it's a scratch blade.
Scratch blade.
I've got one of them, but let's say I've got a variety of these planes and I've never used any. What you're doing, I haven't even done that. That's mine.
Were you lazy, Bobby, or what? What's the problem?
It's quite
too lazy.
He's got a router.
I've got a router.
Bobby, it's all collecting.
It's all collecting, yeah.
So up to the 45, it's pretty straightforward. There's nothing exceptional about using the 45. The 45 is just a sophisticated big brother of that one. It's got the depth stop. It's got it's got a slitting cutter. I didn't bring mine with. This and this have got a slitting cutter, which is a knife really, which fits in this little channel here. And the old joiners, I had a very old joiner friend who trained in the 30s before all the machines were used, and he told me that they used to split plywood with that splitter. Just 2 passes, turn it over, another 2 passes, break it off, and clean it up. Because they didn't have big panel saws and all those sort of things. They did everything by hand. So that's very useful. I've never used it, but that can be done. So this has got a fence exactly the same, depth stops, a secondary fence here for supporting your blade. But the design, and one other thing, this one has a fine adjustment to adjust the wood on this fence. It's got a little screws there. So sometimes you want to, particularly with tongue and groove, it's very hard to get your tongue exactly in line with the groove. So you can do this fine adjustment with a screw.
Has that also got a scribing knife?
Yes, they've all got the little.
Okay.
This one hasn't got them, but it's got the place for them.
Okay.
They've gone AWOL. But as I say, I found all these things in an old toolbox of my wife's grandfather. So it's not complete, but it certainly does do a good job. What else is there to say about it?
Have you ever seen those profiled bottoms that you get when you're doing the hollows?
Yes, I've got some wooden hollow and rounds.
The fit onto those things.
I've never seen them, but I've read about them.
I've seen them in the catalogue, but I've never seen them. Yeah, that's one of them. That's quite.
Does it fit onto these?
Yes. They're in the catalogue somewhere. You get a matching.
Yes. Well, like you've got the matching hollow and round cutters.
It's like a foot that goes on instead of those two skates there.
Right.
It's actually it's actually a profile.
Right.
And it's going to help reduce tear out.
Right.
Because tear out's a problem. And that thing, when you've got a mouth, it gives you a mouth basically.
Yeah.
So when your blades move, you can. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
It's just curious to see.
Okay, so I've set this, I've put a moulding, a beading cutter in here. So I'll quickly cut a beading. Oh yes, the thing I wanted to say about the unique design about the 45 and the 55. A lot of very careful engineering thought went into it. These two skates, as Trevor calls them, if you're planing a groove, you've got a huge danger of them binding in the groove. So on the design of this plane, when you lock your blade in position, it's slightly, half a millimeter outside the line of the skate, automatically, so that it does not, it cannot bind. And then you set this skate, you set it yourself, and you set it the same, fractionally inside the blade, so that you don't get binding when you do a deep dardo. And in addition, another design also included on all of these, the blades are all, the cutters are all very slightly tapered. If you look at a cutter like that, it's got a slight taper on both sides. Again, so there's no binding of your cutter in your groove.
Doesn't show them in there.
No, as I say, I have heard of them, but I don't think I've ever seen them.
Wally Pretorius has got an old standing catalogue going back, and that sort of information may be in there.
Yeah, I've seen it in other.
Tom's got that Stanley handbook. Well, it's not a handbook, but it's got everything about Stanley. Yeah.
Who's got that?
Tom.
Tom Howard.
Yeah, I've seen that there by Tom, yeah.
I think as Winston was saying about relieving the cutter, if you're making your own cutters, you've got to put that relief.
You've got to.
Otherwise, you find it tends not to cut. You've made cutters as well. That's quite important.
Yeah, it's very important. Otherwise, they bind. They would bind.
That's right.
They would bind. So I've set this for a bead. I don't know if you ever listened to motivational talks by Leo Mascalia. He was a great motivational speaker in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
And his favourite phrase was, "You've got to have to want to."
Yeah.
And let me tell you, to use these things, you've got to have to, because it can be very frustrating. And always make sure you
Make extra.
quite a bit extra. You think you get leggings on a lathe, you see how these things go together. Now, I've done a lot of YouTube searches on 55, and there are hundreds of demonstrations on the 55. There's only one with an actual demonstration of using a moulding blade. This beading, rebating and that, all there, but not that. And I just think the guys aren't brave enough to do it on, because it can be embarrassing. Okay, this one it's not finished too nicely at this end, but
See, no sandpaper.
it's all finished. It's beautiful. So over here I've got mouldings that I've cut with a 45. That was a 50. So I've cut a reading. Here I've got a moulding with a 55 double with a beading of the reading of the 45. So that's 2. This is a profile. I should have cut this off. This is a profile for making wooden window frames. This should also be a lot thinner. You use the profile, you use this one. You can see it's got a flat and a round and a half round. And that so what they did, now my old joiner friend that I spoke about, he said they used to be given a plank, a huge plank. They used to have to rip it by hand, plane it by hand, mould it by hand, and hand make window frames. And he knew he could do it. I don't know if you've seen how they were made by hand. You do a half lap joint, and you do cut half of it out and
Scribe, sorry.
scribe. And he could do that. So this is the moulding he would have planed. So you plane it on a long plank. You plane first the one end, then you turn it over, you plane the other. You do it on a wide plane. Then you rip that off there, and then this forms the window frame, and this forms the rebate where your glass and your little cover strip that holds the glass gets pinned on. So that you can make with a 45 and a 55. They both have that cutter. So, anything about the 45, Jeddah? Any questions?
That angle of the blade, is that consistent with a normal plain blade?
Box. I don't know. I should think so.
Probably a little bit higher than the 45.
It might be a little bit better.
A little bit higher than the 45 because you use the tear up.
Yeah. I never thought of something like that. There's nothing I can do about it. I use it as it is.
I'm just watching you cut it. I mean, it cuts very cleanly.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering whether they changed the angle on it.
It is, as Trevor says, it probably is a little bit steeper than a normal hand plane. Any other ideas or questions?
Yeah.
So you're going to get on to 35 now?
Now we're going to talk 35. Could I have a shot of brandy just to give you courage?
Oh damn, Winston, I forgot to press record. You mind starting from the beginning again?
I can't, I've forgotten what I said. Is he getting us to the rugby school?
No,
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
Well, Okay, I'll do sign language, you'll block your ears.
Okay. Have they got 100?
Way! New Zealand have got 3, we got 5.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 5-3.
Call the game off now.
Yeah,
Still early days, mate, still early days.
still early days, that's the problem.
Ja.
Australië het ons 9 punte verloor, misgeskop.
20 minutes in, hè?
Ja, hulle het nie eens net ons skop
Ja, bijna.
Klein groep.
We bijna got it.
Jy moet jy moet raas het op.
Maybe I will watch the long recording. Well, it's early days.
Watch the first 20 minutes. You can watch the first 20 minutes.
If they play buurman van sou rugby.
At least you know that there is.
okay, shall we go on to the
Yeah, absolutely.
the fifth?
You want that break?
Never actually got I have been behind sometimes when it's time now.
You play 10 man.
Okay.
If you play 10 man rugby against New Zealand, you get over it.
We haven't got Nas anymore.
Nee, I know that. We play 10 man rugby. Yeah. If you play 10 man rugby against the New Zealanders, they can't handle it. But if you start running, you got.
Yes, my prodigal Jan came
You're on
home.
the machine off. Are we having a coffee break?
He was keeping
Are we going to have a
Sit
coffee
water
break?
on jou, die koffie.
No.
keeping it
Coffee
under.
break sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
Coffee break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.